Great to have you here today. Can you tell me and everyone else your name and your affiliation?
Sure. My name is Greg Wright, and I'm the director of the IT portfolio at the Houston Technology Center.
And Greg, how did you get to do that?
Well, I got involved as a mentor on the energy side of the program, and the CEO, Walter Ulrich, is a longtime colleague and competitor, actually, in our consulting lives. And he said to me one day, you know, Greg, we need an IT guy to come and do the IT stuff. And with a bit of convincing, he finally convinced me to join. And as my wife says, you know, it's the she's never seen me have so much fun and earn so little money.
A passion and a mission of yours.
Yeah.
A passion and a mission. So tell me more, what does the IT side of the Houston Technology Center do, HTC?
So we are predominantly an accelerator. Our major program has been a long-term program where we bring in companies, we mentor them, we introduce them to potential investors, we introduce them to potential customers, and really just do whatever it takes to get them up and running and then successful. And we graduate them once they hit a kind of a sustainable run rate, really.
Great. And have you developed any programs, anything that is unique to what you're doing in Houston, given you have certainly a very strong IT presence, large company, oil and gas kind of industry presence?
We do. It's kind of a double-edged sword for us because the jobs, the IT jobs in Houston are very good, very strong, very stable, and they pay pretty well. So there's you have to really be passionate to decide to go out and become an entrepreneur and start your own business there. So but we do have a good number of IT companies that are started there. In terms of the new programs, what we are experimenting with really is a approximately 3-month boot camp to kick off the program. And that looks very similar to the seed accelerators in pretty much all respects, bar that we are, as a non-profit organization, HTC doesn't fund them, but we do help them in all other respects with intensive mentoring. We have a curriculum that we take them through over that period of time, and then, you know, again, sort of force fit the mentors and the companies together. And the thing that we find is by having them to work together for that 3 months, really create some great bonds, and they help each other as much as the mentors help them. Right. And that's really been fantastic to see that happening. So we just ran that program one time. We call it Ignition. And we've done that one time. We're going to be doing that again in the next couple of months.
So in Ignition, you're creating its own self-contained community in some ways, its own support system.
Yeah, kind of a cohort type of system where, you know, 12 or so, 10, 12 companies will get to know each other very, very well. And yeah, it is a sort of a self-sustaining thing. And it's incredible the amount of help they give each other. I just look at South by Southwest, of course, is a lightning rod in many ways for so many things. And we had one of the companies presenting at the South by Southwest Edu just last week. They got into the final round, didn't make it to one of the winning positions, but they were really strong. They got a tremendous amount of help from some of our other companies that have presented here in the past, and it was really good to see.
That's great. Hey, just to be in the final round is quite an achievement, given the number of applicants for South by Southwest.
Right.
What's new and exciting for entrepreneurs coming up through HTC this coming year or so? Is there things you're thinking about doing that you haven't done before?
There's definitely, well, you know, a slightly more mature version of Ignition, and I think that's really the big thing for them. We also have some deep relationships with some of the very large companies out there, and we're going to be putting together programs that kind of take things to another level, where, you know, these companies will provide resources, they will put up ability for them to experiment in things like wireless technologies, be able to really test out, the technologies behind the scenes without actually having to get them through the long, arduous process of getting them approved by the wireless carriers and people.
Right.
So that's going to be very exciting, I think, for the IT companies.
No, it will be. I also understand you spun off a program by the name of Surge. Can you explain that to us a little bit more?
Sure. Houston is the center of energy in the world, and if ever there was going to be an energy accelerator, Houston is the natural place for that. And what happened is a number of people that are associated with the Houston Technology Center got together a while back, and they'd done a lot of research into seed accelerator programs, and they said, the one thing that we should try here is a cross between IT and energy, and make a seed accelerator that can take those types of companies through the process really quickly. And so that was the genesis of Surge, and it took quite a while to pull together a team. We were extremely lucky to run into Kirk Coburn, who his background is in Dell, and he's had some great success with the Golf Channel. He's came from Austin, although he's a Houston native. So he was very pleased to come back to Houston, and really he changed the game, I think, for Surge, because he took it on and really just pushed it through that final hurdle to get it up and going, and it's really been very strong. They've just started their second round, their second year, matter of weeks ago, in fact. And,
Fabulous. Fabulous. I hear great things about Surge,
yeah,
and what you're all doing there. So you're entrepreneurial yourself, obviously. You're spinning off programs. HTC is spinning off programs, as well as helping entrepreneurs.
right.
Do you see any evolution in the entrepreneurial space that's happening in the Houston area?
I think the biggest thing that I see is it is a move to a very rapid, lean approach. So what was an obvious thing for certain types of web startup companies a number of years ago with the whole lean methodology and everything, the lean startup, that is starting to become more of a way to go to market in any kind of company now. And so while nobody questioned whether we should do this in IT, when we did Ignition, Walter Ulrich said, well, let's just do it for everybody. And I was, Walter, you're not going to get the life science companies, you're not going to get the the energy companies to do it. And he said, no, I think if we're going to make this happen, we're going to do it with everybody. And so it delayed us a little while, but we've got the rest of the sectors at the Houston Technology Center on board. And I think there was a lot of skepticism, but it's incredible to see how, in fact, I think that is playing out. And when you look at an organization like Health 2.0, that is so well versed in just that same fast, rapid turnaround in the healthcare space. And so it's really permeating everywhere. And so we're seeing a change where companies now, it doesn't matter what kind of, it doesn't matter if it's an energy company, it doesn't matter if it's the 15-year type healthcare company, they can be done just in the same methodology, in this rapid turnover. So I'm extremely excited to see what we find with that over the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's going to be a very fascinating thing to observe. Lastly for today, any other messages about how HTC might work with the universities in Houston, or interns and students and their entrepreneurial endeavors?
What is interesting is these little startup accelerator bootcampy type things have really taken off. And so at Rice University, they've started one called OwlSpark. And at the University of Houston, they've started one called the Red Labs. And we are working with them as guides, as experimenting back and forth. In some cases, we're sharing our mentors and our curriculum with them to help those university-based accelerators to happen. And that's fantastic for me, because it just, again, it gives the students an opportunity to really test out what it's like to be an entrepreneur. And if they like it, then they know that there's a pathway, either through accelerators like the Houston Technology Center, like Surge, I expect we're going to see a for-profit healthcare one spring up at some point in Houston. It's the next natural thing to do, I think.
Absolutely.
And they'll hopefully get educated on this whole pathway that there really is a way to be an entrepreneur in Houston. You don't need to necessarily go to the Silicon Valley or to New York. And so that's really exciting for me. It's really this, the community is really stretching from the universities all the way through the large businesses and all the way through, the Houston Technology Center, which kind of acts as a hub to all of these different methods. We also work very, very closely, and we have done for years, with the Small Business Development Center, which is a U of H.
SBDC.
SBDC, yeah, it's part of the U of H in Houston. And those are another way that we work with the universities.
It's great to see another entrepreneurial region of the state do so well. We look forward to keeping up with you and getting updates as HTC progresses and continues to do great things. And thank you for being here today. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having us.
You're welcome.